Casual Movie Club. This is the podcast where a couple of guys just hang out, watch a movie, and discuss, rate, and review for your listening pleasure. With you, as always, I am Brian, and with me is my co-host, John. Oh, jeez.
What's up, everybody?
Jesus.
Oh, jinkies.
Oh, jinkies.
How you doing, Brian?
I'm good. How are you, John?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
Doing pretty good myself.
I want to just take a moment to thank those who make the drink Fireball for making tonight's movie watchable possible.
Wow, the slip of the tongue already gave you away. And if for those listening at home, if you haven't put it together, the movie we have watched this week was Scooby Doo, 2002's Scooby Doo, starring Freddie Prinze Jr., Sarah Michelle Gellar,
and an animated dog,
animated dog, Linda Cardellini, Mark McGrath.
And all of
this movie,
all of Sugar Ray, apparently.
All of Sugar Ray, yes.
Yeah, the whole band was there.
So this is a movie that we watched.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you right off the bat. I think I know based off of your reactions just now. We've been keeping a lid on it until we started recording. Did you like this movie, John?
No.
You did not like this movie.
But I'm going to answer that with a question. Did I enjoy it? No. Was it entertaining? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And here's the thing. This is definitely a kid's movie.
Is it though? I don't think so.
I think it can be a kid's movie because there are elements of it that make me think it's a kid movie. That has the happy ending in the end. It has the the cute, ridiculous animated Scooby Doo. It's not a serious adult film, and by adult film I don't mean porn.
Sure.
But it's not a regular film geared towards adults, so I feel like it's geared towards kids. So, the ratings that I have for it are kind of as if it was an adult movie, even though you kind of what we're going to talk about, you have to suspend disbelief, and there's a lot of things there. So, but I'm rating it as if as I'm watching it as an adult because this was the first time I've seen it. I
have a different perspective completely. Okay. Now, I want to be clear for the listeners. I have not seen this movie before, and neither John's not seen this movie either. So this was our first viewing of this.
Right.
I feel like that this film, and I realized this as the movie went on, around the halfway point. Actually, I can pinpoint exactly where I came to this realization.
What realization?
The realization that this movie doesn't know what it wants to be. This movie is suffering from an identity crisis.
I can see that.
So there are elements that are certainly geared toward children.
Right.
And there's a difference between a movie that's geared towards children, content that's geared towards children, that has adult humor, adult jokes sprinkled in for the parents. There's a difference between content like that and this movie, which suffers from schizophrenia.
I can see that.
This movie has a lot of adult humor. There's a lot of sexy jokes. There's a lot of sexy banter. There's a lot of drug humor. There's scary horror.
Was there a lot of drug humor? I didn't pick up on a lot of drug humor.
There's a lot of entendres and references to every time.
Well, they speak to that in the IMDb trivia because apparently the original script for this movie was much darker and actually painted Shaggy as more of the stoner type, which I think he looked like a stoner type anyway. I wrote down sort of a comparison of a kind of archetype of all the different people. Like Fred is the preppy frat boy, Velma's the nerd, Shaggy and Scooby are the stoner with his dog, and Daphne is the prissy rich girl, dumb blonde.
Yeah, I mean, that's Shaggy's thing, though. That's his archetype. That's what he's known for. He's known as the stoner. But there's nothing in the cartoons, any of the cartoons, aside from rolling around in a van on a Saturday morning, hungry all the time. They made overt entendres and references. His girlfriend, Mary Jane, like they were just
Mary Jane being a euphemism for marijuana.
Yes. But see, that's not all. Like this movie didn't know what kind of soundtrack it wanted either.
Oh yeah.
The opening theme song was Scooby Doo, but set to a hip hop beat. The closing credits were set to a different Scooby Doo hip hop rendition,
which I didn't like either of them.
But then throughout it, they did just like pop punk. They were doing rock. They did a little bit of metal.
Yeah.
Sugar Ray was in this movie. This movie was a shotgun blast of let's see how many demographics, how many boxes we can check. Let's get the widest. Let's cast the widest net we can, and that's my issue. That's my number one issue with this movie. And I can get down to the nitty gritty. I can tear this fucking movie apart,
and we will, I'm sure.
But oh man, I'm fired up right now.
I mean, for me, when Sugar Ray was attacking the mystery people, like it was like they're being chased by Sugar Ray.
I wanted
that was just fucking hilarious.
I wanted to enjoy it. This movie just irritated me. It was annoying. I
think that's the best word to describe it.
Yeah.
It was annoying at parts, but I'm still going to leave some element of the fact that it was entertaining as fuck.
It was entertaining.
There were moments that were entertaining, and there were moments that I literally laughed out loud. Like, for example, Scooby Doo, the animated dog, was hysterical. I thought the Scooby Doo, the character, the animated dog, was way more zany than any of the cartoons I had ever remembered. Or that I could remember. And I haven't seen a Scooby-Doo cartoon in years. You know, I mean, I'm 38 years old. The last time I saw a Scooby-Doo cartoon was probably about 20 years ago. You know?
It's been a long time.
I can't say that I've seen one recently. But I always remember really enjoying watching them when they were on. And I don't recall Scooby of the cartoon being nearly as silly and zany as Scooby of the animated of the live action version. Mm-hmm. But this Scooby was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And I almost lost it when I saw him wearing like the drag outfit when they went to the airport.
I hate it. I knew you would like. I knew you were like Scooby.
Drag was so funny.
And
he's like walking around like hello, like, and they're calling him the grandmother. Like
I've got some choice things to say about that. Now this fucking dog is walking around on its hind legs, dressed up as a granny, right? And he gets on the plane somehow.
Yeah, we don't see how that happens.
Not wearing glasses, just wearing a hat and a house dress.
Right.
Right?
Or was it like a raincoat? It looked like a raincoat almost.
Maybe it was a raincoat, but nothing to obscure his face. His obvious dog face. And he comes in and he sits down next to Mary Jane. And Mary Jane's like,
wasn't he next to like Velma or Daphne? Because I thought Daphne and Fred were sitting together.
At first,
because
you're right. You're right. Right. He comes in. Scooby sits down next to Shaggy and Mary Jane, and Mary Jane's like, "Oh, I've got allergies. It's only triggered by dogs." And Shaggy's like, "Oh, Scooby." She's looking right at Scooby Doo,
and she has no idea that he's a damn dog.
This is before the island, before she's like taken over and possessed and shit. Like, she should know.
Right, or before she even meets Scooby-Doo the dog.
Exactly. Now, this is the crutch of my argument. She begins her relationship with Shaggy based off of a lie.
Oh,
a fib.
Go on.
Shaggy says, "Oh, Granny will sit by my old friend Velma." And then at some point during the flight, Shaggy freaks out and starts barking like a dog. And when everyone disembarks the plane, Scooby is now not wearing the granny outfit anymore. Scooby is just a dog. So at what point during the flight did Mary Jane's like, oh, that's not your granny, that's a dog?
I don't think she ever came to that realization. I think she was...
It happened off camera.
Right, but I think she was dumb enough to realize that the granny and Scooby were two different people.
Oh, my God.
Apparently, she was dumb enough to realize that.
This is a post 9/11 world, and they let a dog dressed up. How did this dog get through TSA?
That's a damn good question.
Right? The people want to know. So that was my...
because this is from 2002.
Yeah, 2002. That's what I'm saying. Post 9/11 world.
Yeah.
John. Pamela Anderson.
Yeah. What was that?
Pamela Anderson shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, she wasn't even in the credits. I was looking at IMDb. I didn't see her in the credits at all, and I was like, what the hell is she doing there?
Not credited at all.
I wouldn't blame her for not wanting her name attached to this movie. Now... Okay, so I wrote this little note here. Rowan Atkinson was clearly the best actor of the group.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean Freddie Prinze Jr. I know the name. I may have seen one other thing he was in, but I just wanted to smack him upside the head every single time he was on screen.
And I think that was on purpose. I mean, all the actors. I've seen all of these actors. I've seen Matthew Lillard. One of my favorite performances of him is SLC Punk. Linda Cardellini on Bloodlines on Netflix. Like, these people have crazy good dramatic performances under their belts, and obviously they're hamming it up for this role.
Yeah, I
mean, oh my god,
why in the world? Because I wrote that further down in my notes. Like, why in the world did Rowan Atkinson agree to do this? Why did Freddie Prinze Jr. agree to do this? I mean, clearly they had to be in it for the money.
Well, listen, if you get a good screenplay in front of you and it looks good.
Sorry.
I know. There's one thing to see the screenplay, but then to execute it and see the final product is different. I'm thinking that they thought that they could, that they were doing a good movie, and on paper, I would argue that this script is great. It's maybe not great, but good, like decent. It's a paycheck. It's work.
It's a paycheck, yes, but it doesn't mean it's a great script.
No, but it's good enough to attract A-list level celebrities.
I don't know that I'd go A-list. I'd say maybe B-list.
You don't think Sarah Michelle Gellar, Rowan Atkinson?
I mean, no, because how many movies have they all been in the last 10 years?
The last 10 years? Or the last 10 years from now? Or the last 10 years from 2002 when this came out?
Good point. So
because I Know What You Did Last Summer, Freddie Prinze Jr., I believe, was in... That was...
Or wasn't that Sarah Michelle Gellar?
She was in that too.
Huh.
Freddie Prinze Jr. was in that.
Huh. I mean... Either way, I think they all could have done better.
Well, here's the other thing. Do you know who wrote this screenplay?
No.
Are you familiar with James Gunn of Guardians of the Galaxy Marvel fame?
I'm not, but I know the franchise that you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, James Gunn can write a good screenplay. James Gunn is highly respected for his work.
Interesting. Because I do not I'm looking at my numbers here. I did not rate the script very high.
We'll get to that, but James Gunn has done some pretty great movies. He's done both of the Guardians of the Galaxy's movies.
But those are in the last 5 years, right? 5-10 years.
Yeah, but
this is 2002. It's a lot.
This is 2002.
Earlier on than that.
He's done Slither. He did Scooby Doo 2. Are you familiar with Dawn of the Dead?
No, I've never seen it.
It's a remake of the George Romero classic Dawn of the Dead.
Okay.
It's the 2004 had Sarah Polley in it. It was one of the earlier movies that did fast running zombies.
Okay.
It's a really good movie. I wouldn't be mad if we did it on this show.
Okay.
But My point is that there's quality associated with this project. What we got was not quality. That's what I'm trying to say
Thank
here.
you, because I mean, when you started that sentence off with "there was quality," I'm like, where?
Associated with this project.
Yeah.
Just not the final product was less than.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I did not like the movie. Do you recall? I mean, I used to watch a lot of Scooby Doo when I was a little kid.
Oh yeah, me too.
Do you ever remember the gang like having this strife within the group dynamic?
No, and that's actually something I was going to bring up, because I don't think this group of people had any kind of similarity or connection to the original group of, mystery people from the original cartoon. And
agreed.
I mean, do we even know? Sorry, I didn't mean to play footsie with you. Do we even know from the cartoon? Do they call themselves Mystery Inc., or is that just something that they came up with for this movie?
No. They do call themselves Mystery Inc.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Fine. So that's
and the Mystery Machine and all that.
Yeah. I mean, and like I thought the live action Mystery Machine looked cool.
I did too.
I've even seen Mystery Machine people. Some people have a couple of people have vans here in town that are actually painted like the Mystery Machine. I've seen them around town. Like it looks cool.
That's interesting. I've never seen it.
No.
No.
There's probably at least 2 or 3 of them.
Huh.
Yeah. All that aside, I thought that the characters here were based on the original cartoon characters, not like a direct live action replica of them. They were like inspired by or based on them. They weren't like a legitimate, live action facsimile of them. If that makes sense.
That's a gripe I have with this movie.
Yeah.
Based on is one thing, but you're taking the based on to a whole. They're amplifying their personalities in a way that I just don't agree with.
It almost disconnects them from what the original Scooby Doo crew is like.
Yes.
Because the original Scooby Doo crew has a lot more of a kind of a wholesomeness to them.
A lot more chemistry too.
Well, exactly. But this group, it brings in that like drama effect. There's that, there's the Fred being the kind of like, I'm so happy with how I look person. There's the, Daphne is the I'm a pretty blonde and, pretty prissy blonde. Like that wasn't there in the 70s version and in the cartoon version. We didn't need to hear about that. So why do we need to hear about that now?
Velma was surprisingly down on herself and more depressed than I would have ever guessed. And
agreed. And the original Velma was a lot more down to earth.
Yeah.
She was a lot more like, hey, let me figure this out. Let me do this. And this, the Velma of this one was like, oh, I'm just a geek that no one cares about.
Always
blah, blah, blah.
picked last on the team.
Yeah.
Get your shit out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Eeyore.
It's... That's exactly accurate.
So
it was teenage drama that we didn't need injected into this.
Fred's douchiness and his sexism and his
such a douche.
I don't want to say misogyny, but he was definitely like a sexist douche.
He's total douche.
Total douche.
Yeah.
And the way when he hit on Velma, he's like, oh yeah, even the dorky types turn me on. Slaps her in the back like, atta boy.
Yeah, just unnecessary.
Totally disassociated from the original archetypes of
right. And I've never seen the original Fred behave that way.
Never.
The original Fred from all the cartoons I've seen and remember, the original Fred was like almost like the adult of the group. The like, let's go do this. Here's what I think. Almost like he kind of came across like the leader.
He will always seem like the leader to me.
Right. But in this one, Freddie Prinze Jr. is like the tool frat boy.
There was almost like a leadership struggle without the struggle. It's like everyone kind of was trying to be the leader without trying to hurt anybody else's feelings, or
Yeah, it was just stupid, unnecessary drama that was injected into this for no good reason.
You know what's surprising to me?
What?
Shaggy turned out to be the real leader.
I was just going to say that he seemed to be the smartest one of the group, even though he comes off like the stoner and the dipshit of the group.
Stoner, dipshit, scaredy cat. He owns the van. That's his van. Because when they broke up for 2 years, remember when they broke up for 2 years? He drove away with the van. He was living in the van for 2 years. Like,
you're right.
and then they open up the scene 2 years later with "Pass the Dutchie" to the right hand side or left hand side. It's a Wheat song.
Oh,
it's a Wheat song. That's another thing that what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They open up that scene with a Wheat song, and you see outside exterior shot of the van, and Shaggy and Scooby are talking to each other, and it sounds like they're about to get toasty. They're about to they're about to smoke up.
And the camera shows smoke coming up out of the van.
Exactly.
And then the camera pans down and you see them cooking pancakes or something.
That's what I'm talking about.
Or hamburgers or whatever. So the drug entendres are so there.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. Fucking this movie, man.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it doesn't know what it wants to be.
It has an identity crisis.
Yeah.
How about Scooby Snacks being well known to the point where Mary Jane is eating them on the plane?
Right. So there's an assumption that apparently you can go to like any old, shop and buy Scooby Snacks, and then if you happen to run into Scooby Doo himself, you can feed them to him. Like what? How is it that she has Scooby Snacks? But I mean, then again, later on in the movie, when you find out Scrappy Doo, which I had major issue with, why the fuck does Scrappy Doo appear and he's the one that's in a bodysuit played by Rowan Atkinson? Like,
did you see that coming though?
No,
I didn't see that coming either. I thought that was a great twist. He was a good villain.
It was, but Scrappy Doo is one of the dumbest characters of the whole franchise.
That's why it's so brilliant that they made him the villain. I love that.
Yeah,
I thought that was great.
I'll give it to him. I mean, Scrappy Doo is one of the most annoying people, even from when dogs, whatever, from the original series, from the cartoon series, that I could totally do without.
Scrappy is the worst.
He is so annoying. But I will say this, all that aside, being the youngest of two, my brother's older than I am, I can relate to the younger one being like, yeah, let me at him. I can do it. Yeah, give me a chance. Blah, blah, blah. I can relate to that.
One of my favorite parts
I get that. But Scrappy Doo is just fucking obnoxious.
He's obnoxious, but he's also not really a puppy. He's got a glandular problem.
I do remember that.
Yeah. That was my favorite part. Fucking Velma just hanging out by herself at the bar.
Yeah.
Like solving this crazy crucial puzzle at the bar in public.
Yeah.
This movie didn't make any sense.
Agreed.
I don't understand.
So are you ready to do some numbers on this?
I guess. Wait, let me look through my notes.
Yeah, let me just see. I got to see if I have anything else too I want to read.
Yeah.
The creatures, I might be able to, I should probably bring that up when I talk about presentation, but the creatures looked way less fake than Scooby. I thought Scooby looked a lot more natural. I mean, he still looked fake anyway, but I mean, I liked the way Scooby looked more so than those creatures that were kind of coming out of those people that were possessed or whatever.
Yeah. I remember I said earlier that I pinpointed the point of the movie that I decided it had an identity crisis.
Yeah.
The fart off and the
God.
burp off.
Oh my God.
How could you forget the burp off?
Oh God, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Shaggy literally shitting his pants when Velma comes in.
I mean, not only that, but
it was shoehorned in. It was not necessary.
It was so not necessary, but Shaggy is farting and shitting himself up up the wazoo, but Scooby is also standing there shitting and farting on his own, but
shitting and farting.
I feel like there should have been little droppings that came out of his ass. I mean, obviously, his Scooby's not wearing any pants.
Ugh, that was terrible.
I know. Horrible.
I've got more notes, but it's not going to make this movie any better.
No. And let me just see if I got anything else I want to say.
All right.
Yeah, I think I wrote, "Oh Lord, you gotta be kidding me," at least 5 or 6 times in my notes.
I wrote, "I hated this." I hate this.
Scrappy
3
Cornelius Doo.
Yeah. Do you know Scooby Doo's real name?
It's like Scoobert or some shit.
Scoobert Doobert.
Oh God. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
Is there a drinking game for this movie? Because I feel like there's got to be something where every time they say Zoinks or Jeepers, you got to like take a shot of something.
That's a little too reasonable because they don't say that often. You'd probably take maybe 4 shots, 5 shots over the course of an hour and a half.
I was expecting them to say Zoinks and Jeepers a lot more.
No, they said Jinkies.
Jinkies, that's another one, yeah.
Less than 3 times.
But combine them, Zoinks, Jeepers, and Jinkies, at least.
Yeah.
That's drink-worthy.
They were ticking all the boxes in the very beginning. They had the plan that was screwed up. They accidentally caught the villain. They unmasked him.
And I was waiting for someone to say, like, I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you damn kids.
They said it in the beginning.
But someone said it at the beginning, but then Scrappy started saying it at the end before they shut him off in the helicopter. And I was like, yeah, you can't have a Scooby Doo episode without somebody making some reference to, having been able to get away with it without them damn kids.
Yeah, they did it a couple times.
Yeah. All right, are we ready to do numbers on this?
I'm ready.
I want to get my numbers.
The body switching, John. When they were doing the body switching, the souls.
Oh,
there's so much. Okay, let's do the numbers. I'm done with this piece of shit.
And by the way, whose pick was this? By the way,
this I put this up as a possibility, and it was chosen together. You're as much to blame as I am for this travesty.
You suggested it, so I think you carry like maybe 7% more.
I'm the one that has it in his library.
There you go. Yeah, I didn't spend money on this.
I didn't spend money on this. This is... Yeah. Okay.
Did someone give you that as a DVD as a gift?
Yes. I inherited this DVD, and... now it's in my iTunes library
Scoobert
forever and ever in a world without end.
All right. Well, maybe we'll see what happens if this will... do you think this will oust The Craft as the lowest movie?
You know what? I'm sad to say that I don't think so.
I don't either.
We'll see.
I don't either. Now, numbers-wise, so you guys might be wondering, what are y'all talking about when it comes to those numbers? Numbers. Well, you can see the numbers on our leaderboard. And where is our leaderboard?
casualmovieclub.com/leaderboard.
Exactly. Or you can go to Casual Movie Club, click on leaderboard at the very top. And casualmovieclub.com is a wonderful place, a magical, mystical place where dreams come true. You can click on that. We'll go to that website and you can access all the different podcast platforms that we're on. So places like iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Radio Public. You can click on links at the very bottom of every page to take you to all those different places where our podcast can be heard. You can also go to our Patreon or merchandise sections if you want to support us by repping us with some shirts or iPhone cases or notebooks or whatever it is you like, or donating to us every month on a dollar basis, whether it's $1 or more. Throwing us some cash to keep the podcast going. You can click on the Patreon button on our website to do just that. But as far as the numbers go, let's talk about that specifically. So we have our leaderboard, which is where we post our averages for our numbers. And Brian, tell us about the acting. What is the acting number that we are going to do?
The acting is how well did the actors convey the story? How believable were they? The next category is script. How well was the dialogue written? Following that is presentation.
So the editing and visual effects usage, how did it look? Was there too much green screen? Was there too much effects? Not enough effects? Or the music and sound? The goodies for your ears. How did it sound? Did you like the sound effects, the score, the music, all that good stuff?
Then there's uniqueness. Has this film been done before? And this is in terms of around the year that it came out.
Yes.
Were there copycats? Was this movie...
Or was this a copycat?
Was this a copycat? Yes.
Right.
And finally, engagement factor. Does this movie keep you engaged, or would you rather be weeding Twitter?
I was weeding Twitter a little bit on this movie.
You know what? I was not, because I was furiously taking notes.
I bet you were.
A majority of which we have not gotten to. There's just so much in this movie that we haven't even scratched the surface of.
Yeah, and maybe some of those might come out in the numbers, but why don't we? How about I'll start with acting here. I'm just gonna start out, and I'm gonna throw my number out there. I think the acting gets a solid 2 for me, and maybe that's a little generous. But I'm giving that number based on, I think the guy who voiced Scooby Doo just had fun with it. I really liked that the guy who played Shaggy was not completely stoner-like, even though he looked like a stoner. Freddie Prinze did not remind me of the original Fred at all. Velma was great. She reminded me of the Velma from the animated series. I was kind of basing my acting score based on how well the live action folks reminded me of the original animated characters. So I'm giving it a 2.
I'm giving it a 2 also. However, it's because they had all the pieces there. They had the source material, and they didn't deliver. Velma was not Velma to me. Freddy was not Freddy. Daphne was too much of a damsel in distress. And granted, she was a ditz and a klutz, and she was fighting against that in this story. But that just wasn't her. But besides that, just the performance itself. I've seen these actors turn in fantastic, compelling, deep performances before.
Yeah.
And this movie just they did the best they could, and I scored a 2 out of 5.
Okay. That's fine. And how about script? What do you think for script?
As we talked about this, it's more and more justified my script my script number here. I love James Gunn, and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but this is just an awful story. There was so much extra in here that was not necessary. The escape from the shed and the ATV chase, which wasn't even really a chase scene.
Irrelevant.
The fucking fight between Scooby and Shaggy didn't feel authentic. It was shoehorned in.
Oh, completely.
The whole hotel vibe, the whole island vibe, it felt like Haunted Mansion and Tower of Terror just kind of thrown into a fake me out Jurassic Park. Fuck this script. I give it a 2.
Wow, that's generous. I'm at a 1.75 for the script because I think the story was terrible. Let me rephrase that. The story wasn't bad. It was plausible.
Yeah.
If it was an animated version of this, but other than the story and the plot, the acting, the lines between all the different members of Mystery Inc. were just so detached from what the original cartoon was like. I didn't really feel any kind of sense of connection to that old one. I feel like this was more based on it than an actual live action version of it. So that major detachment brought me to a that 1.75 rating on it. Presentation wise, I liked how I really liked how they did Scooby's character. I mean, he definitely looked animated. He looked, fake. Didn't look like a real dog. I mean, I had just seen the current iteration of Lion King, so I saw what they did with, live action lions and all that. I mean, that looked pretty believable. This, for being 2002, didn't really look very believable. Scooby Doo himself was clearly an animated, animatronic, animated, fake thing that they added in with a computer. So, I think some elements are going to be taken off for that. But apart from that, I mean, I am giving some bit of merit to this. The Scooby-Doo character with his animation and everything was pretty fun. 2.75 for presentation because everything else was just fine. But I mean, just a little bit of taken off because of the fact that Scooby just looked fake.
I'm definitely more critical of the CGI. The CGI was the worst part for me. Those little demons, or big demons rather.
Oh, they looked so fake.
Looked fake. One of the things that really irked me was scenes that were supposed to comprise solely of computer-generated images looked like shit. They look like shit.
Yeah.
When Scooby was lured away from the hotel to get the bag of hamburgers,
Right.
I mean, Scooby Doo, by the way, taking phone calls like any dog would.
Yeah, of course.
But that aside, when he did the hamburger thing, and he had the chase scene, fight scene, what have you, with the demon, that was all computer generated.
Right.
All of it was computer generated, and it looked terrible.
Right.
Like, this is where you should prove your worth. It sucked. I hated it so much.
They clearly didn't put any money into the CGI aspect of it. I mean,
they didn't put enough money.
I don't know where the money went in this movie.
I don't know either. I gave the presentation a 2.
That's generous, I think. But what do you think from music and sound?
I brought this up earlier. I'm gonna beat this drum again. This film didn't know what it wanted to be. It had a lot of hip. Now there's one thing to have a healthy mix of music to support themes, to support the story, to support emotion. But the music and sound, the soundtrack itself was egregious. They were throwing in pop punk. They were throwing in metal. The Sugar Ray was in there, and I don't begrudge Sugar Ray. I like me some Sugar Ray, especially some early Sugar Ray. But this movie was all over the place. The soundtrack at times detracted from the film itself.
I would agree. Because of their bastardization of the Scooby Doo theme.
There's that too. Yes, I mean, sure, take a modern take on it, but be consistent with it. You were all over the map with this.
Right.
I can't speak to the sound effects. The sound effects were just blah to me. The sound mix itself was blah to me. Nothing really stood out.
Yeah.
It had very little redeeming qualities. I scored the music and sound a 2.
Awesome. Well, guess what? I also scored the music and sound a 2 because the music did nothing for me. I didn't like like I said before, the bastardization of the original Scooby-Doo theme. I didn't care for the hip-hopified version of it. I felt like the soundtrack was more of an annoyance than anything else. So I'm going with a 2 on that as well.
See, I would be fine with hip-hopization of the soundtrack if that's the theme that they were going with.
Right.
It
wasn't an urban movie. Like, it wasn't something they were doing hip-hopification of everything.
It doesn't need to be an urban movie to be a hip-hop. It doesn't need to be set in the streets, set in the city or whatever.
Yeah.
They could keep the same setting, just be consistent.
Right, exactly. No, I agree with you. It's too much of a mishmash of everything to be consistent.
Yeah.
Uniqueness. I struggle with what I want to give for uniqueness because, in 2002, I don't know, from 2002 and earlier, I don't know of a movie that involves a cadre of people with an animated, counterpart. I mean, you got Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is kind of the same thing in a way because you've got live action people interacting with a animated counterpart kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uniqueness. I had a 3 written down for uniqueness just because it's, this is the only group thing with a animated member of the group kind of thing. So, but apart from that, there's nothing that makes this overly unique because it's let's try to solve a mystery. Here's something that's going on with this place, and we're going to look for clues. And it's a group mystery thing. We've seen things like that before. I can't think of any, but I don't know of this being a groundbreaking movie to deserve more than just a 3.
Okay. I really liked your Who Framed Roger Rabbit comparison. I hadn't considered that when I scored this.
Or also, the other one was, I think is it not Baby's Kids?
Cool World.
Cool World. That's
Cool
the one
World
I'm
with
thinking of.
Brad Pitt.
Right.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that. Those were early to mid 90s, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so they had come before this.
They have, yeah. But see, the difference between those two movies and this one is that those were self-aware. Those movies were self-aware. They in the sense that
They knew what they were.
The animated characters knew they were animated.
Yeah.
And Who Framed Roger Rabbit, they were called Toons.
Yeah.
It was Toons and people.
Yeah.
I forget what it was in Cool World. That's not a movie that I've seen more than a couple times, so I'm not.
I've never seen it, actually.
Oh man, I would love to watch it again. It's been so long.
Okay.
But I think they had to, just for the sake of the movie and what they were trying to get across and what Scooby needed to do, he needed to be animated. There was no doubt about it, no question about it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this film in regards to total package, not just the fact that there's an animated character.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it as how it was intended, like the cartoon was intended.
Right.
Even though Scooby was less zany in the cartoon and blah 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 blah, but the Scooby was, for all intents and purposes, the cartoon a real dog. So with all of that being said, this felt really unique to me. It did, and I struggle to think of a movie like this, exactly like this.
Okay.
So I'm going to give uniqueness a 4.
Interesting. Okay. And then how about engagement factor? What do you think of engagement factor on this?
If I wasn't taking notes, I would be in and out of Instagram, in and out of Twitter. I would be, I could listen to this movie and not watch it and still follow along just fine.
Yeah.
Engagement a 2.
You know, it's funny. I actually have engagement factor written as a 2 as well for me. You know, because this is something that I would have on in the background. This is a great party movie, I think.
Yes.
You know, having on in the background, and every now and then you look up and see like something's, you know, some kind of shenanigans they're getting into, or something's going on with Scooby and Shaggy or whatever. I mean, you know, I would even go to say that, you know, the sequel, because I saw there was a Scooby Doo 2, you know, would probably be equally as inane of a movie, and one that I would have on just for the sake of having something on in the background, you know, to see what would happen. And while I'm drinking with friends, to see, like, while we're kind of getting toasty, to look up and see, like, what is it that Scooby and Shaggy are doing now, or what are they running from now? You know, it would be kind of funny in that regard. But as far as just sitting and watching this movie, trying to see if, like, it's something that's, you know, going to grab my attention, it's definitely not going to grab my attention. So, so 2 for engagement for me on that.
I hear that, yeah.
So, do you have any take-backsies you want to do, or are you feeling like the numbers are in?
No, they're in.
All right. Well, guess what?
Okay. It's not last place.
It is not. Ladies, I know. But see, here's the thing, though. Before I reveal the numbers, in order to come in as last place, the total average has to be below 1.82.
Oh, but this was almost 2s across the board.
Right. So this one has a higher average than that. This is not last place. It's actually not. Let's see. Okay, it's not. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to give you the full number. So,
okay.
Numbers are in, ladies and gentlemen, and no take backsies. Just confirming.
Oh man,
you pretty much gave this 22242 across the board for you.
It's so unique. It's man.
You gave it a 4 for uniqueness, which is high.
It's high, but I can't think of. Hang on, I don't know. I'll give it 3. I give it 3.
3 for uniqueness?
Uniqueness a 3.
Okay. All right. So you've got your take backsies on uniqueness.
I don't know. All right. Yeah.
You locking it in?
That's locked in.
Locked in. Okay. I am not changing any of my numbers. So are the numbers in?
The numbers are in. Where is your uniqueness again?
My uniqueness was 3.
Mine's a 3.
Yeah.
And what was your scores?
Mine was 175 for script, 275 presentation, 2 music and sound, 3 uniqueness, 2 engagement.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. They're locked in.
They're locked in. Okay.
Lock them in.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, and dogs that might be listening to this, it is locked. They are locked in, and the numbers go a little something like this. Script, 1.88. Presentation, 2.38. Music and sound, 2. Uniqueness, 3. Engagement factor, 2. For a grand total of 2.21, which puts this, as of this recording, bottom 3. Third from the bottom, just below Blues Brothers 2, or just above. Hold on, let me double check that. 221. So it's actually just above Blues Brothers 2000. It's bottom 4.
Oh, man.
I know. So this movie is apparently better than Blues Brothers 2000.
I
don't know if I agree with that.
That's up for debate.
I know. Blues Brothers 2000 was pretty bad, so I mean, it does make sense that it's below.
The Room is a bad movie, but I love it so much.
I know.
I want The Room to be number 1.
That's not going to happen. Because look at all these movies it has to beat. I mean, it would have to beat things like The Princess Bride and Whiplash and Pulp Fiction and The Lion King, so that's not going to happen.
I love it so much, though.
I know.
I would watch The Room over Die Hard.
Oh, hell no. No. I would not. I would watch Die Hard on repeat over and over again.
You would. I would watch The Room on repeat.
I'd watch Galaxy Quest on repeat or Mrs. Doubtfire.
Over The Room?
Of course.
I don't know. I love The Room
Dude,
a lot.
I'd even watch the 1966 Batman or Footloose on repeat over The Room.
I would not. I would certainly not. That's a conversation for a different day.
Right, of course. But those are the numbers, ladies and gentlemen. And as far as what we're going to do on next week's episode,
who knows?
We don't know. But you guys will, I'm sure, enjoy it because we love doing this. We love having you guys along with us. And if you want to really join the Casual Movie Club, all are welcome. We love having anybody who wants to listen to the Casual Movie Club. Subscribe to us on all the different podcasting platforms that we are on. Places like Apple Podcasts and Google Play and TuneIn, Stitcher, and all those other ones that I can't seem to get to show up on my screen. YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Radio Public. Everyone is welcome. If you like what we have, please feel free to share this on your favorite social media platform. Invite everyone that you are that's following you there to join us in the Casual Movie Club. If you want to be a special member, if you want to really become a part of the club, go to our Patreon page, which you can get to from our website, casualmovieclub.com. Click on Patreon, or if you want the direct link, it's it's patreon.com/casualmovieclub. But we would love to have you support us. You'll get access to the podcast a day early for $5 or more, and you'll get some other perks as well. But we would love to have you be a part of the inner circle of moviegoers on the Casual Movie Club Patreon account. Brian, do you have anything else?
No, Scoob.
Oh, but there's more. You can interact with us on social media if you would like to. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Casual Movie Club on both. If you're on Instagram, feel free to take a picture of movies that you're watching. Tag us. Let us know what you're doing. If you're on Twitter, tag us. Let us know what you're up to. What movies are you watching? We would love to know. You can also call us or leave us a voicemail. Send us a text message to our Google Voice number. It is 402-882-2742. It is a non-live number, so we're not going to pick up and randomly put you on the spot unless you want us to. But leave us a message. Send us a text. We would love to hear from you. Also, we would love to hear from you on any podcast platform that you listen to us on, whether it's TuneIn or Stitcher or iTunes or Apple Podcasts or whatever. Leave us a review. We would love to see what you guys are thinking of us in our podcast. And apart from that, we would just love to have everybody be a part of the Casual Movie Club.
Nice.
Did I forget anything?
No, you did not. You were very thorough.
I was kind of getting into it.
Yeah.
I was like feeling my flow.
You can't interrupt the flow.
Yeah, it's true. But anyway, as far as what are we going to do for the next podcast?
Who knows?
Yeah, we don't know, but we'll figure it out, and then I'm sure you guys will get a kick out of it. But if you guys want to have a say in what we do, join our Patreon. You can participate in choosing what we do here on the podcast. But apart from that, we appreciate all of you. We love all of you, and we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.